Hello everyone and welcome to my new tutorial, and today it's Champions League themed. The new Champions League season is starting pretty soon. The group stages have been drawn, so I thought I'd do some sort of poster to celebrate that. Now you can use this style as a matchday image, which I did a few years ago. I made this matchday image for my social media, Liverpool versus West Ham. Yeah, got a little bit of traction, bit of interaction, and I liked it. I like this floating 3D ground, so I thought I would do something similar. Now, making this floating 3D ground is quite tricky. So what I've done is, well, it's not quite tricky, but it's quite time consuming. So what I've done is, I've made a pack with the resources resource files. So all these images, okay, they'll be in a PSD to download. And then once you can download it, all right, you can just make it. So rather than teach you how to do that, it's not the best way, but it gets it done and it allows you to use it. And you can break it down. You'll be able to see how I've done that as well. So if we have just a quick look at the base, okay, there's quite a few layers to it. All right, and it was time consuming to make at the time, if I remember correctly. And I was remaking it before, and I just thought, do you know what? I'll just do a resources file. Like I said, not the best way, but to learn, but at least you can play around with it, and if you break it down, it's pretty simple what I've done. Anyway, I digress. Let's get on with it. So I'm going to press Command N. So if you're working on Windows, it'll be Control N. So anytime I say Command for any shortcuts, Windows users, it's Control plus whatever I'm using. So the width I'm going with is 1280, and I'm going with a height of 2272. And this is for the iPhone 8, I think I've got. I'm going to use 150, but I like to use 300 pixels per inch, and I'm going to click OK. So entirely up to you what dimensions you want to use. Again, don't get hell-bent on that. Choose whatever you want. If you want to do it for Instagram, do a square. But you feel more than welcome. So anyway, let's get on with it. So let's fill it with this colour. So I've got this nice blue colour here. Okay, and that's 182366. 182366. I'm going to click OK. So click your little palette here. Okay, type 182366 in, you'll get this nice blue colour. Now, because it's the forwardmost colour on my palette, okay, I'm going to hold Alt and backspace, and it's going to fill it. Now, if I press Command and backspace, it'll fill it with black. There we go. But I want Alt and backspace. So I like to use shortcuts. So every time I talk, okay, I will explain what I'm doing. Now I'm just going to get rid of that padlock, so I'm going to drag it down into the trash can down there, and I'm going to add a gradient overlay. So I'm going to double click on the layer there. It's going to bring up my layer styles. I'm going to go to gradient overlay, sorry, and it's nice and subtle, which I've done it already. So what I've used is gradient black and white. Okay, I've dropped the opacity down to 20%. So if you see, okay, what it does there. Okay, have a little play around, see what you might like if you're using a different colour. So I've used blue because it's Champions League themed, whereas if you're using it for your team, I don't know, Norwich, yellow and green, okay, just have a little play around. So I've changed the blend mode to overlay. Okay, the gradients, reversed it as well, it's radial. Okay, I've just, there my settings there, and the scale's 121%. I'm going to click OK. So again, just have a little play around with that and see what you like. So now I'm going to bring in the Champions League backdrop, which is just here. Okay, now the transform tool's up. Okay, because you see these little squares, I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard, and I'm just going to drag it up so it all grows in proportion. I'm going to go for something like that. If I press Command 0 or Control 0, okay, you can reshape it, and I'm going to go something like that, and I'm going to hit Enter. And what I'm then going to do is blend this opacity down to 10%. So I'm dragging that all the way down. There we go. So it's just blended in nicely. Okay, so it's nice and subtle. And then I'm going to add the lights. And let me just check I did this the right way. Just close that one down. Just check. Lights, yeah. The lights are on top. So this this image now of the lights, the stadium lights, okay. Everyone used to use this ages and ages ago. Okay, it's quite a famous stock image. So yeah, Now you can say you're using it. So screen, I'm going to screen, change the blend mode to screen. Now notice we've got this straight line, we've got a little bit of text up here. So I'm going to press Command 0 to resize it. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is, while I've got this layer highlighted, I'm just going to go down onto the layer mask icon. I'm going to click that, and this little window pops up, and this means we can work non-destructively. So I'm going to make sure I've got black selected over here, so you can press X or D, one or the other. Okay, just make sure you have black as your foreground colour. I'm going to hit B for my brush tool. I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to my general brushes. I'm just going to pick a soft brush. Okay, it doesn't matter. Make sure your opacity is up and your flow's up to 100%. Use my bracket keys on my keyboard, and I'm just going to paint that away like that. And then, because I want it nice and soft, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop it down to around 50% for both of them. Okay, I'm just going to paint over the top, get rid of any straight lines. Just help it blend in. Now they might be hidden behind the floating 3D ground anyway, but I just want to make sure. And the light's coming in at this angle, so I'm just going to drag down as well a couple of times like that. And like that. And maybe just along the bottom there. And if I make it a little bit bigger, if I just use the top there, okay, it just subtly blends it in a little bit. Yeah, it's looking fantastic. Now, just to tidy it up a little bit as well, if we go onto the Champions League wallpaper, add a layer mask to that one as well. Make sure we've got black selected. Hit B for the brush tool. Okay, and I'm just going to fade it away a little bit, just back there, just so it's not in the way of the lights. Tell that it's behind. And I think that's okay. Now, if I wanted to bring all that back, okay, I just swap the colours, use white, okay, and you could paint it all back on. And if you disable the layer mask, you notice it all pops back because we've worked non-destructively. The pixels are all still there, which is fantastic. And just to finish it off, I'm going to add another layer. Okay, yeah, hit D, then X on your keyboard. Okay, set the foreground colour to white. Okay, we've already got our soft brush already blended. It's already at 50% roughly for both. I'm just going to click on there, just add a little bit of light. We may come back to this layer, so I'm just going to call that light. Yeah, so let's have a look. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my my base, I've called it. So I'm just going to select this layer here, press Command C, copies it, and then I'm going to press Command V, and it'll copy it across. Okay, it'll all look skew if you do that. So press Command T to bring up Transform tool, just drag it across where you would like it positioned. I'm just going to drop it down. Something like that, and hit enter. So I've saved about 15-20 minutes work here. So let me just talk you through what I've done, just so you can see. Now, yes, it would be ideal to follow along, but it was pretty time consuming. So ignore those shapes. So I got a shape initially, a rectangle, okay, made it into a diamond, duplicated it, put it on top, and then set it up. So I knew I was working with a complete like 3D shape. I was making my own shape. You can do 3D stuff, okay, but I'm not too au fait with it in Photoshop. Then I just added some mud to both sides, and then I just added some curves and some shadows and some dodging and burning to both sides, and then put some grass on, duplicated it across because it didn't look right. I put some little bits of wispy grass on as well, and then to finish it off, just duplicated a couple of those rectangles and just blended them in and blurred them, so they've got the shadows coming out there. So again, if you look at it, it's just easy. I'll just give you a little present from me to you. So that saved us about 20 minutes time there just by dragging that across. If that Control C, Control V didn't work, okay, all you simply can do is just take the source layer out like that. Alright, so it's just floating there. Your layer palette will still be here because you're still on this window. You just dragged it out of the way, and all you can do is just drag it and drop it on like there. Let me just put that back. There we go, and go back to this one. Okay, fantastic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in our players. So Champions League, Kai Havertz, did he score the goal in the final? I know he scored at Anfield on Sunday, much to my displeasure. But it was a good game, it was a cracking game. And just size him up initially there, score there. Yeah, Kai Havertz, and would it be complete without Lionel Messi? Now, I'm not going to put Ronaldo in because the next tutorial is going to feature Ronaldo with his shock move back to Manchester United. Man United fans, how do you feel about that? Man City fans, how do you feel about that? Quite controversial. Anyway, Lionel Messi at PSG, quite surreal, but anyway, here we go. Hit enter, place him there, we're going to sort these out. And Pep Guardiola, manager of Manchester City, last year's finalists. Big pressure on for both PSG and City to win it this year, I think. And it might come as a shock to some of you, but I am a Liverpool fan. I don't think we're gonna win this year. I'd like to think we could, but I don't think it'll happen. Anyway, digressed. Well, I place Pep, so what we're doing there, press Command Z up in there, and then Command T or Control T, okay, just to shape them. So we want to give this sense of depth. So I know Messi's only a small guy anyway. So press Command T on Messi. And I think that might look alright. Pep might be a little bit too small. Just play around with it, guys. So yeah, now what you could do is you could do add the shadows individually, okay, for each person. Take your time. I've done it multiple times on my tutorials before. Excuse me. However, this time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it on one layer. So I'm going to select this base layer. I'm going to hit this little icon down here for a new layer, and it'll pop it up above it. And hit X on your keyboard to swap the black over. If not, hit D on your keyboard to reset it. Okay, hit B for your brush tool. Okay, right click or double click. Okay, and then this little icon here, we're just going to drop it down, and you can see the shape that we've done there. I'm going to reduce the size quite massively. Yep, go for something like that. And the opacity, I'm going to put up about 60% for both. And let me zoom in. Now, what I'll do first is I'll do Kai Havertz first. And just going to click and click. And yeah, that looks okay. Okay, take your time. You can reduce the opacity. In fact, if you press Command Z, come back, reduce the opacity around to about 40% for both of them. And then just make it a little bit slimmer. Press Command Z if you're not happy, or Command Z just to go back a step. Or you can add more clicks until it looks about right, which I think it does there. Okay, I'm just going to go around his foot. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Now I'm just going to change the size of it around Pep's foot. Okay, I know we've got some bright lights behind them, okay, but not too fussed about how realistic it's going to look. So tapped a couple of times here just to give it a bit of shadow, so if you can see, if we take it away, we're adding that depth, if you will. And then, yeah, happy days, and then around Messi's foot as well. Yeah, come out of there. Okay, so we've added some shadows to the feet, so it's just helping them blend in. Okay, we'll call that one shadow. Just double click on the letter, name that. Okay, and then what we can do is individually, all right, we'll do a Doge and burn layer. So let me have a think. Yeah, so I'm going to go for a new layer here above Kai Havertz. I'm going to clip it. So I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard, hover between the two layers, and this icon should pop up, and just click. Okay, and then it clips it. So anything we do on this layer now will only interact with this layer. If you want to get rid of that, hold Alt and click it. So another way to do that is right click or double click, go down and create clipping mask. Okay, now this layer here, I'm going to go to Edit, I'm going to go to fill. So you can see the shortcut here. So any shortcuts that you want to do, all right, they're usually tied in at the side here. So click fill, 50% grey, mode normal, opacity 100%. Click OK, and it will fill it grey. I change the blend mode to overlay, and I'm going to go over here to my Dozier and Burns tools. Okay, and I'm going to go for burn first. Now I've selected the midtones and the exposures at 15%, and I really like Dozier and Burn. Okay, and then all I'm simply going to do is just paint on the shadows, just round by his feet. Yeah, underneath his arms. You can see we're darkening it straight away. It's just burning it up. And what this will do is this will give it like a sort of 3D effect. And yeah, it really enhances your work, I feel anyway. Just under there, underneath his clothes. So yeah, take your time with that one. Okay, I'm just rushing. All right, you can see the difference we've made straight away. Now we're not done on that layer. Go back to this icon, hold it down, select your Doge tool. Okay, I'm just gonna go and just paint along the top of his arms, and already you can see how good it's starting to look, and it looks pretty good on this kit and this photo as well. So yeah, just while I'm doing this, just thinking about Sunday's game. Went to Anfield, cracking game. It's great to be back in the stadiums. Anyway, digress. So yeah, so anyway, here we go. There we go. You can see the difference we've made to Kai Havertz. Now what I would recommend, okay, I'm not going to do it on this now, but you can see if we zoom in, look at Pep. Okay, you can see the difference we've made there, and Lionel Messi, you see the difference we've made there. Okay, and it just brings the image to life a little bit. So you can do that for both of these layers. However, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on. So the last bit, so we're going to add the ball. So we've got the official Champions League ball, found an image of it. Okay, hit enter. Just zoom in a little bit. I'm using my trackpad. I'm going to get my Eclipse tool. I'm going to make sure I've got path selected. Okay, I'm just going to drag just a rough circle out. In fact, no, I'm not. What I'm going to do is then I'm going to hit V on my keyboard, Command T. I'm just going to place it around. Now, if you hold Alt down on this one, it should. Oh, there we go. The footballs are not always perfect, so just play around. We'll find out in a second. Anyway, we've got a circle there. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. In fact, if I go back to click on the Eclipse tool icon there, okay, you should get this menu popped up. So you've got your press Command T for your transform tool, go back to your Eclipse tool. Okay, and we can click mask. Okay, and then there we go. There's our ball. Command 0. And then what I can also do is just convert it to a smart object as well. So it's just become a layer because I'm happy with it. Hit V for my keyboard tool. Select the ball, okay, and just drag it and drop it where we want it. So we want it roughly around here. Command T. I'm just going to place it there. So we've got something popped out. Okay, so we've still got our Champions League ball there. Command J to duplicate that layer. So now we've got two. Select the bottom of the two layers. Go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. Okay, drop that lightness down to -100. So now when I get rid of this top ball, the bottom ball will be black. There we go, happy days. Okay, so select this bottom ball, press Command T in Transform tool, right click, and I'm going to distort, zoom in a little bit. And I'm just going to distort it out in the direction I want the shadow to go. Yeah, something like that, hit enter. Now use your arrows on your keyboard just to move it around. And we'll change the blend mode to soft light. So the blend modes make the pixels interact with the layer underneath. And if I go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur, just got it on 20 there. Now we want it on about 3, maybe 5. 5's better. Click OK, and there's our shadow. But we're not done yet. So Go back to the main level with the ball. So we've got this bottom layer. Okay, we've turned it into the shadow. So select this layer here now. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. So we've got a layer above. I'm going to clip it like we did before. So hold Alt, hover, and clip. Now you'll see the beauty of this. So if it B from a brush tool, go back, select your nice soft round brush again. Okay, you can see if I'm painting around, nothing's happening. However, once I go across there, you can see how it's happening. So that's a good example of it being clipped. So I can paint all the way around here, nothing's happening. As soon as I go across this layer, okay, the layer underneath it will. So reduce the size there, and you can just use the edges of the brush. I'm just going to paint some shadow, especially along the bottom where it's going to be most dark, just to give it that 3D effect. See that? And then if we hit X on our keyboard for the white, just paint just once across the top. Less is more with that bit. And you can see that 3D shape that we've given. And then you can just do the same for the Champions League trophy as well. You can drop that in. It's exactly the same process with that one. Get your ball, duplicate it, reduce the lightness, distort it, blend it, and blur it. And then then as your shadow. And then there is our finished design. Did we do anything else? No, that was it. It's pretty basic. Again, so you could get some text, okay, and write Champions League or PSG versus Chelsea or whoever or whatever. Okay, just remember I've just gone with blue for the colours for this one. Okay, you don't have to have this Champions League in. Okay, you could add some wallpaper from your own team or a picture of a stadium or something. It's entirely up to you. It's your edits. Anyway, I'd just like to say thank you for watching. Pretty simple tutorial. Again, I apologise just for not going through this floating rock, but it was time consuming. I just wanted to get the idea across of how I did this sports edit. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content and you're not subscribed already. Please check out the rest of my channel as well. So once again, thank you, and I'll see you in the tutorial